Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. I'm your host Safa and you are listening to Crime Pod. Previously on this channel, we have covered the case of Jessica Lawal. If you haven't stumbled upon that video, the link is already given in the description box of this video. Do check it out. Let's get into today's video. Today's case is about a love triangle. It's normal for any human being who have blood running through their veins to be jealous when they found that the person they've been involved in is liked by someone else. But what happens when this jealousy extends to such extent that cursing and swearing isn't enough and destroying the other person is the only option left? This is the story of Neeraj Grover, Maria Suzai Raj, and Lieutenant Emil Jerome Matthew. Before delving deep into what exactly happened, we will first discuss the background of these three main characters of the story and how they were related to each other, starting with Neeraj Grover. Neeraj Amarnath Grover was born on 23rd of February 1982 to Amarnath Grover and Neelam Grover in Kishni, a small town in Uttar Pradesh, India. His father owned a photocopier shop while his mother was a housewife. Neeraj was called Ginny by his sister and cousins as he was the only son of Grovers. His sister Shikha was married and settled with her own life. Neeraj had done his early schooling from Kishni and then got a degree in mass communication from Amity University in Noida. In 2007, at the age of 25, Neeraj, after completing his studies, headed to Mumbai in search for a job. In Mumbai, Neeraj lived in a two-bedroom flat at Jyoti Apartments, 7 Bangalore, Andheri, which he shared with his cousin and friends Harish, Sushant, and Sushant's wife and children. According to his friends and colleagues, Neeraj was a fun-loving, hard-working, jolly, witty boy who got all the jokes and loved to be around girls. He often repeated to his friends the cheesy line, "Hasi to phasi," which means if she falls for the jokes, she falls for you. One of his friends, Deepak Kumar, often said to him, "मेरे हिस्से की लड़कियां भी तुम्हारे हिस्से में रहती हैं. Your lot includes my share of women too." Neeraj at first worked for Balaji Telefilms as their creative head. After some time, he joined Synergy Ad Labs, where he was working as a creative executive director. In the Indian rendition of the US television show, "Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?" क्या आप पांचवी पास से तेज हैं? At the same time, he was also holding the auditions of a soon-to-be-released television series Mahabharat. For those auditions, he met Maria Monica Suzai Raj. Maria Monica Suzai Raj, a Kannada actress from Bangalore, had shifted to Mumbai to try her luck in television industry. She had done engineering from Mysore and according to some resources, she claimed to have a diploma in interior designing as well. In Mumbai, she met Neeraj Grover, but she had to leave for Bangalore because she had to work in a Kannada movie named Iktant. On April 29th of 2008, Maria again landed in Mumbai. As I told you earlier that Neeraj was handling auditions for Mahabharat, so their paths crossed again as Maria Suzai Raj was there to audition for the role of Draupadi in Mahabharat. But as you know that hailing from Kannada, her Hindi skills weren't good enough to secure that role. But even after all those anomalies, Neeraj, who was beginning to fancy her, assured her that she will definitely get that role. Maria and Neeraj shared numbers and became good friends. Gradually, the affection and intimacy between them grew stronger and they started to frequently meet each other. When Maria came back to Mumbai in 2008, she met an acquaintance of her, Deepak Singh, a senior choreographer. He knew Maria because she was the ex of his friend Pawan and had trained in a dance school ran by Pawan called Studio 5678. Maria asked him if she could stay with him until she find a place to live. Reluctant at first, Deepak agreed because she insisted. "Just for a few days, please, I will find another place soon. My dad is willing to give me the down payment for a flat. Help me out this one time." After that, she started living with Deepak in Borivali, but Deepak felt that something was amiss about Maria, moving from city to city, always changing her ambitions. In March of 2008, she told Deepak about her engagement with a naval officer. They both went to Lokhandwala and bought a t-shirt for her fiancé. She said to Deepak, "I am finally ready to settle down." This thing made Deepak suspicious. That if she is settling down after marrying and moving in with her future husband, then why does she want to move in a new flat? And on top of that, her efforts to get the role of Draupadi were not yielding anything. So what's the purpose of staying in Mumbai? But Deepak didn't pry and shrugged it off as he had nothing to do with Maria's life. After Maria's arrival, Neeraj spent less time with friends and hung out mostly with Maria. He often took Maria to his flat that he shared with his friends and cousin. One day, Deepak met his old friend Kiran Shreyans, a dance instructor now working in Andheri. Deepak hosted a party for Kiran, and for that reason, he asked Maria to stay for the night. When Kiran met Maria, he immediately lost his smile because back in 2005, when Maria first came to Mumbai to try her luck in movies, she befriended Kiran, and his friendship with her resulted in him breaking up with his then girlfriend. Kiran described Maria as a shrewd, vain, and manipulative person. Maria tried her best to get the role in Mahabharat, but after some time she realized that she couldn't get the role in Mahabharat because of her accent, and Neeraj knew all this and was just making excuses. Furious and angered, she confronted Neeraj, but he calmed her down by promising to get her the role. On May 6, 2008 at around 8 am, Deepak helped Maria haul her luggage to a taxi as she was finally shifting to her new place, flat number 201 in Dheeraj Solitaire Apartments, Malad, Mumbai. Remember this detail about Maria living in a taxi, as I will tell you something after a short while. On the same day at around 9:30 pm, Neeraj, Harish and Sushant Singh family were enjoying their dinner when Neeraj's cell phone rang. It was Maria asking Neeraj to come over to her new flat, but Neeraj told her, "Not tonight, I have an early morning meeting, I will stay at home," and hung up. At 9:55 pm, the cell phone again rang. Neeraj picked it up and said, "Babe, really let it be, I have just started my dinner." Then after a long pause, he apologized to everyone and said that she is calling, I have to go. Sushant asked Neeraj to finish his dinner, but he said, "Paji, main bas abhi gaya aur abhi aaya. I will be back in a jiffy." But Neeraj never returned after that. Next day at around 10 am, Neelam Grover called her son Neeraj. The mother-son called each other twice a day, once in the morning and once during night. She kept on calling for half an hour, but Neeraj didn't answer. She thought that maybe he's busy, so she decided to call him later. Last time she spoke to him was a day before at around 11:15 pm. She kept on trying his number all the day, and finally she called her daughter Shikha and told her that Ginny is not taking her calls. Her daughter assured her that maybe he's at work or busy with something, and said that she would try to get in touch with him, but even when Shikha called him, he didn't answer. She then called Harish and was told that Neeraj didn't come home last night and was not answering his phone. He also didn't show at work. This caused a pang of concern inside Shikha, but she called her mother and told her, "Mummy, Neeraj shoot pe hai. His phone is on silent, you can talk to him at night." She then called her uncle Satnam Arora to look for Neeraj, as she hadn't told her parents about Neeraj ghosting of her family and friends. On that day, Grovers called Neeraj about 130 times, but he only answered once between 4 to 5 pm. When Shikha called him, she asked, "Ginny, hello Ginny, can you hear me?" But there were just sounds of muffled voices on the other side, and then the call ended. Keep this call in mind. That night at around 11:15 pm, when Neeraj still hadn't showed up, his family flew from Lucknow to Mumbai and went to Malad police station to file a missing person report. When they reached there, they found Nishant Lal, Deepak Kumar, Harish and Sushant Singh. They were there for Neeraj and told Amarnath Grover that the report was already filed on the previous day. When police asked Neeraj's flatmates about his last activity, they told them that he went to his friend Maria Suzai Raj home. She called Neeraj at night to help her shift. One of Neeraj's friends, after seeing the distress on his face, suggested Amarnath Grover to take the help of Rakesh Maria, the Joint Commissioner and head of Mumbai Crime Branch. After meeting Amarnath, Rakesh Maria ordered his force to probe the case. On May 13th, some of Neeraj's friends visited Rakesh Maria and inquired about the case progress. Among them was a young woman, and Rakesh found that there was something untoward about her. He asked her name, and in reply, the woman said, Maria Suzai Raj, I am also one of Neeraj's friends. To which he replied, I know he disappeared from your house, and you, young lady, are my number one suspect. Amarnath Grover, along with his brother-in-law Satnam Arora, went to railway stations, hospitals, parks, and even mortuaries to look for their missing son. They distributed missing person posters with Neeraj's picture. On the other hand, when Rakesh Maria showed his suspicion on Maria, she was called in for questioning almost every day. Maria kept on telling police that Neeraj left her house at around 12:30 p.m. and left his phone in her apartment. She said that she called Nishant Lal to pick up Neeraj's phone. Nishant along with Harish and Sushant visited Maria's house, and that was the time when they filed his missing report. Police noticed bite marks and slashes on Maria's arms and chest, but she said that those were love bites and slashes were due to a cooking mishap. She kept on denying, but all the evidence were against her. When Neeraj's friends went to Maria's apartment, they saw no luggage whatsoever. And another strange thing is that the paint was still wet. I say strange as people usually move after they have completed the renovation. She also told police that on May 7th, she and her fiancé booked a taxi and went to Dadar for shopping, and Neeraj's phone was still with her. But according to the phone location, it was in Dahisar. As police traced Neeraj's cell phone location by the call she, Maria Suzai Raj, mistakenly answered on 4:30 p.m. Another question was that why she didn't pick the phone at first time it rang and told Neeraj's family about the phone. Why she kept ignoring those calls. When police checked the phone records of Maria, they found that she had talked to her fiancé 1,000 times in the time frame between Neeraj's disappearance to May 20th. But police let her go. She was again called to Bandra police station and questioned for almost 10 hours by Inspector Satish Rao Rane. After 2 days, Inspector Rao Rane told Amarnath Grover that he should stop visiting them day after day and that he will personally inform them about any update. On May 21st, Amarnath and Neelam Grover, who at this point were growing desperate, went to Unit 9 office for an update on their missing son. When they received Rakesh Maria's call, he asked them to wait there and said, Mr. Grover, please go back to Unit 9 office. I am sorry, but your son is dead. We have found out what happened. This caused great sadness to flush over both parents, but they had questions. Who killed their son and why? What was the motive behind his killing? And did police found the murderer? In order to know what had happened, let's move back to May 17th when Maria Suzai Raj was called to Bandra police station for questioning. Yes, you guessed it right. It was Maria Suzai Raj who had a hand in the murder of Neeraj Grover. After denying so many times, she finally buckled and faced her involvement in Neeraj's murder and led police to the other suspect, Lieutenant Emil Jerome Matthew. Emil Jerome Matthew was born to Joseph in Thankama and had a brother named Nirmal. His father was a bank clerk who voluntarily took retirement in 2000. He was Maria's fiancé. Remember the guy Maria told Deepak Singh about? He was the one who murdered Neeraj. Emil had done his early schooling from St. Matthias School in Mysore. A good-looking, passionate man, Emil appeared in National Defence Academy after completing his schooling in 2000. He cleared it in first attempt and was called for training to INS Shivaji Lonavala. He was posted in Kochi. On the night of May 6, 2008, Neeraj arrived at Maria's residence to help her unpack. 12:30 a.m. she ordered food from Sai Sagar restaurant, which was corroborated by security guard. At around 1 a.m., Emil called Maria, and when he heard a male's voice in the background, he asked Maria about it. She told him that it was Neeraj. Emil became angry and told her that she should send Neeraj away and to not let him stay at night. As Maria's phone battery was about to die, she asked Emil to call her at Neeraj's phone, but it went unanswered. Emil was very short-tempered and according to his fellow officers, he couldn't control his anger. After the call went off, Emil became furious he instantly took a flight to Mumbai without informing his base. At that point in time, he just wanted to meet Maria, so he came to Maria's residence. But for that, he had to make entry in the society's register. Kundan Ravinder Jha asked him for a name, but he refused, saying he was a cousin of Maria. At around 7 a.m. on May 7th, the doorbell of Maria's house rang. When she opened the door, she was shocked to see Emil there. He barged inside the house to find Neeraj sleeping on Maria's bed. Emil was enraged and an argument started, which resulted in a physical fight. Matthew, in a fit of rage, grabbed a knife from Maria's kitchen and stabbed Neeraj until he laid there, dead on spot. Maria told police that after Emil had killed Neeraj, he proceeded to sexually assault her and asked her to keep quiet and help him in disposing his body. That's where those bite marks and slashes came from. At around 10 a.m., Maria went out and bought 2 duffel bags, new curtains, bed sheets and a knife. Her debit card records show the transactions. Then they both cleaned the house, changed the bed sheets and curtains, and then cut Neeraj's body into reportedly 300 pieces and put them inside the duffel bags. They had even painted a wall to hide blood stains. That's why the paint noticed by Harish was fresh. They both tried their best to get rid of all the evidence. At around 1 p.m., Maria made a call to Kiran Shriyans, the same guy whose girlfriend broke up with him because of Maria. Yes, that Kiran Shriyans. When he saw Maria's name on the phone screen, he wondered why she was calling him. On picking up the call, he heard Maria's voice. Kiran, could I please borrow your car for a bit? My fiancé has come from Kochi to join the naval base in Mumbai, and he has lot of luggage. I just need to drop him to Colaba, after which I will return your car. Kiran paused. He was incredulous. He wanted to say no. Please Kiran, please, went on Maria, at which Kiran said, okay, but I have to go out for dinner tonight, so make sure that you return it by 9 to 9:30 p.m. About 4 that day, Maria and Emil knocked at his door. Kiran, many thanks ya. This is Emil, my fiancé. As Maria was introducing him to Emil, Kiran found himself distracted by the bite marks on Maria's neck, arms and chest. But he didn't thought any of it and handed them the keys to his blue-grey Santro. After they sped away, he thought to himself, why plead so much for his car? Why not just book a taxi? On their way to dispose of his body, Maria still had Neeraj's phone in her pocket, which she answered by mistake, and that was the time when Shikha heard those muffled voices, and that call proved to be their undoing. They reached Neeraj's solitary apartment and put those duffel bags in boot of the car, and at around 4:30 p.m. they left the Mumbai city. They went to Dadar, dumped the body in a jungle next to the Mgaon village of Manor, doused it with petrol which they bought on their way and set it ablaze. Then they headed back to Mumbai and gave the car back to Kiran the next day. Police questioned Kiran Shriyans, but he denied any involvement. Police went to Dadar and retrieved the remains of Neeraj. The DNA was an exact match to the bones and his skull was also found there. Police arrested Maria. In case of Emil, it was difficult at first because of him being a naval officer, but they ultimately succeeded in arresting him. When they both were interrogated, the couple, like many others in such situations, turned against each other. Their trial began and lasted over 3 years, and finally on July 1st of 2011, a Mumbai court set out its verdict where Maria Suzai Raj, 31 years old at that time, was found not guilty of murder but guilty of destroying evidence in Neeraj's case and was sentenced to 3 years in prison, which, counting the time she was in custody, had already been served. She was released from Baikula Women Jail the very next day of the verdict. Lieutenant Emil Jerome Matthew was found guilty of culpable homicide not amounting murder, which under IPC section 304 is a non-bailable offence, and of destroying evidence. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the killing and 3 years for destroying evidence. The sentence was to be served concurrently with 3 years' time served already applied. The court had also fined Suzai Raj and Matthew 50,000 rupees to be paid to Neeraj Grover's family. During the trial, Emil Matthew denied all the allegations and even provided some evidence to corroborate his point. He presented before court the plane ticket, the hotel bill, and said, "I am innocent, I've been falsely implicated." In October of 2011, after the verdict of Session Court, the state government moved to Bombay High Court to challenge it. The matter is still in the court. Neeraj's parents were not happy with the court decision. They regret that the co-accused Maria Suzai Raj was roaming free before their eyes and they couldn't do anything. In an interview with Times India, Amarnath Grover said, "I am 63 and Neeraj's mother is also not well these days. We both are fighting to get justice for our son and our hope for justice is still alive." Jerome Joseph, Emil's father, told media that they were never in the favor of Emil's engagement with Maria. He said that this would never have happened had he listened to them. "We told him to avoid Maria as she was from the film background. I'm ruined. I spent whatever I earned on my two sons. Now I don't even have money to fight his case. We belong to a middle-class family. None of us has ever gone to the police station." On the other hand, Maria Suzai Raj, after getting out of the jail, went to Mahim Church, where she said, "I had not seen the doors of church for the past 3 years, and I went to thank God. I've been convicted," so the tears. She later held a press conference with her lawyer Sharif, where she answered media questions. When asked if she was still close to Jerome, "I'm here with you. How can I be close to him?" retorted Maria slyly. "When it comes to my personal life, I have left my past behind. I still have not realized what is happening with me right now," she said. "You all know that I have spent 3 years and 41 days in jail." The actress referred to her prison term as blessed and said that activities such as painting and prayers kept her busy in jail. "I'm still crying. I have still not digested that I have been convicted," she said. "It's not easy for somebody to come out and be cool," added Maria, claiming it was unnerving to see the crowd at the press conference. During the press conference, when her lawyer showed pictures of Neeraj's burnt body, his friends and protesters interrupted and asked the lawyers to shut up and let the killer speak, to which she said, "I'm innocent, I will not talk more. My lawyer will say whatever needs to be said." Neeraj's friends planned a walk for justice in Mumbai, while in Delhi they held a candlelight vigil at Jantar Mantar. Neeraj's childhood friend Jeet Gupta said, "This is no justice. A person has been killed and cut into pieces, and you are convicting him for throwing the knife away." And I think this statement is the crux of what happened. Justice system failed Neeraj and in turn set a bad precedence for future. While they should have made an example of Emil and Maria, they let them go with what I think was just a slap on the wrist. That's all for today's case. Before ending this video, I would like to share some other info related to this case, which I found during the case research. According to some resources, it is said that when Maria shifted to her flat in Dheeraj Solitaire, she didn't arrive in a taxi, but in a black Scorpio with a television star whose name I couldn't ratify. Second, Maria knew that Neeraj liked her, then why she didn't stop him at first place? Why she liked to spend her time with Neeraj, even staying at his flat? Some people say that she led him on, used Neeraj just to get role in TV dramas. When she found out that Neeraj couldn't do anything for her, she simply got rid of him. It was alleged that Maria rented that apartment just to kill Neeraj. She used Matthew's short-tempered behavior to get rid of Neeraj. She told Emil that Neeraj was after her and she didn't had any interest in him. Emil became furious and Maria used this thing to her advantage. It was said that they pre-planned everything. To call Neeraj at her house for shifting and then killing him wasn't spontaneous but deliberate. She helped dispose Neeraj's body because she deliberately wanted to. Emil killed Neeraj, but for whom? Maria Suzai Raj. This was the same question Grovers kept on asking from the justice system, that why only Emil suffered while the ostensibly real conspirator was Maria Suzai Raj. Times Now, after the verdict, labeled Maria Suzai Raj as Lady Macbeth of the Grover case. They said that nothing is below her when it comes to her ambitions, whether it be double-crossing her lover or putting an end to an innocent person's life. Kiran described her personality well. Maria is shrewd, vain and manipulative. In 2019, she was reportedly named in 7 complaints of cheating, forgery, and intimidation, along with her partners Paromita and Anita, both of whom she met during her days in Baikula Women Jail. In 2011, Ram Gopal Verma's movie Not a Love Story was inspired by Neeraj Grover case. That's all for today's video. I hope you liked the case study with me. If you do, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment if you have any suggestion, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and ring the notification bell so you're never gonna miss any of our future uploads. Stay tuned for our next video. Until then, goodbye.